We're going to 2007 now, and it's a return visit for Rihanna. Earlier that year, Umbrella had been a massive #1 single. Umbrella. It was a track from RiRi's third album, A Good Girl Gone Bad. But as you're about to hear, I was keen for another track on there to be a future single. We're going to play Rehab later because that's my favourite song on the album.
Thank you.
And I took the trouble, because I'm a huge fan of yours, as you know.
Oh, you're so kind.
Well, and I took the trouble to listen to the album, and also I'm going to steal it from the studio and put it in my car. You don't mind,
did actually say that earlier. Yeah, it's true. That's a true story.
I'm having that away.
Didn't you have some production tips, though, as well?
No, don't embarrass me. We'll play Rehab in a minute. If it comes out as a single, my advice would be, and if you could mention it to Jay-Z, whoever the producer is, just to have the voice further forward, because your voice is a little bit buried in the mix. That's what I think. But
okay.
But what do I know?
Well, thank you.
No, I know nothing. I know nothing,
You know a
Rihanna.
lot. Thank you so much. You have great taste in music.
Now, listen, I must just tell you, a friend of mine, you're from Barbados, right?
Yes, I am.
And a friend of mine, my best friend, his friend has gone to Barbados to be something huge in the police.
Really?
Yeah. Barbados is a little bit like Britain was 50 years ago, right?
Definitely. You know,
we're
influenced a lot by Britain.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of British influences. The school system is kind of the same. It's very similar. Certain things about our culture, being polite and that kind of stuff.
Being polite.
Well, except for you.
Yeah.
They've retained that. We seem to be losing it slightly. Yeah, you have cricket and things like that.
Definitely cricket.
Whereabouts on the island are you from?
I'm from St. Michael. Bridgetown, which is the capital, is in St. Michael. So it's kind of where everything happens.
You get back there ever?
Sometimes. The last time I was there was Christmas time. Then I did a photo shoot there in January. And I'm going back in October. So not very often, but when I can.
We loved the Umbrella video, of course.
Thank you.
You're right, because we have bad weather, and Umbrella, of course, is a subject we can relate to.
It's the most timely release of a record ever.
Ever of all time.
I think it was perfect.
And I think what you say is right. I think that's why it was at #1, 10 or 11 weeks or something like that.
10 weeks.
And it did well around the world as well, of course. We forget that, don't we?
Thank you so much, man.
Let's just find out what you're up to. What do you think, first of all, about all this talk about, is Rihanna the new Beyonce? Do they get on well together? Or are they each other's throats? So you want to set that straight for me, because you're not, and you do. You love each other and you respect each other. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I think it's pretty flattering for me for people to compare us to each other. And it's pretty funny also that people think we are enemies, because she is one of my favorite artists. She's one of the ones that I really look up to. And when we see each other, I'm not going to say we're best friends, because we're not friends like that. But when we see each other, you know, it's like I see any other artist. It's like, hey, we get excited and that kind of stuff.
Can I just say that you're eating an orange whilst doing the interview? Which
I'm not eating it.
No,
He's been holding it for the last 5 or 6 minutes.
And I like that, because we eat while we're on the air as well, as you can see. And then the other thing that personally about Rihanna is, can you describe what your foot looks like?
Well, I have my foot in an orthopedic boot. This is the only shoe I can wear, and my toe is broken, and I can't fit it into any shoe. It's very, very painful. So.
Has it come up like big?
It did. It goes down. Sometimes it swells up, but it's going to keep doing that for about a year.
A year?
Yes.
What did you do? Did you stub it?
I hit it into a chair extremely hard. I'm very clumsy. I always hit my foot into things, and this time I just hit it too hard.
See, now, had I been there, I could have given you some Germaline or some TCP ointment, which would have smelt really bad, but you probably put cortisone cream on it, right? Something like that?
No, I was in Mexico, so I pretty much, anything they give me. Yeah. Ice, you know, painkillers.
Okay, and tell us about the album. It seems to me, listening to it, you can't really concept it. You can't really say, well, it's all this, it's all that. It seems to me like there's a bit of everything. There's about 3 or 4 singles there as well, right?
Oh, thank you. The album is definitely one of my most diverse albums. We used a lot of different musical influences on it. We used house music for the first time on Don't Start the Music and Push Up On Me. Also, rock for the first time on my second single, Shut Up and Drive, which, by the way, is in stores. So you guys need to go and get that and make me have another #1.
For 10 weeks. We will.
Exactly.
Will you be disappointed if it's #1, say, only for 5 or 6 weeks? Because you've set your store out now.
I won't be too disappointed. You know,
How do you answer that? Come on.
Let's just get to #1 first.
Exactly.
Then let's keep writing it out from there.
But it is a very diverse album. Was that the plan from the start?
You know what? I have a very vast taste in music. I like all type of things when I listen to music. So it reflects on the music I make. There's hip hop influences there. There's a lot of R&B. There's a lot of pop influences. A lot of 80s.
Bit of old school 80s.
Yeah,
Terry
a lot
Lewis,
of
Jimmy
it's
Jam,
like
that kind of feel to it
Yeah,
as well,
a lot of it's like that, and that wasn't planned for sure. It just happened that
Yeah. And by the way, you're the first person to have that cool bob hair that you've got.
way. Thank you.
You did it before Victoria Beckham, as far as I can remember.
You are so funny.
But what made you? So are you. What made you do that? What made you?
Cut it?
Yeah.
I just wanted a complete change. I want people to look at me as a completely new artist and just differentiate me now from me in the past. And this was one of my ways of liberating myself. And I felt so good when I cut it off.
Really?
And then I dyed it black.
Now, are you feeling any pressure? I mean, a lot of pop stars, as you know, we were going to play Rehab in a minute, but, Amy Winehouse had a song called Rehab and then has since been into Rehab. And so many other artists and so many movie stars like Lindsay Lohan and, the history of all that. Mm-hmm. And that's down to the pressure of the business. Mm-hmm. You seem to me to be a very young remember, and I don't mean to patronize you, but you're what, 20, 19, 20?
19.
19, okay. So that's really young. And the pressure doesn't seem to have gotten to you. But do you think sometime in the future it might get to you, so you're making plans for it not to, as it were?
I'm not afraid of it happening to me. It's easy to criticize people who are going to rehab and stuff like that, being outside of the business. But after being here and seeing the things we have to go through, it's a real thing. Like, people react differently to pressure.
Yeah.
You can either crack under pressure and turn to drugs and alcohol, or you could thrive under pressure and just make you a better person and a stronger person. And the way I was brought up, I had a lot of things going on around me as a kid, so I had to rise to the occasion and just be strong. And my mom being raised with a single parent and having two younger brothers, I had to kind of be the second mom in the house. So I'm a strong woman and I'm very independent. So now being here, I think my childhood has prepared me for this business.
I was going to say that you're clearly older than your years.
I would say so. A lot of it is keeping great people around me.
All right, we're going to play Rehab. Now, is this about rehab generally, about anybody you knew?
The word rehab, is used in a very metaphorical way. It's about wanting to get over a guy, but you can't seem to because he's like an addiction.
Oh, okay.
You want to get over him, and the only way you get over an addiction is to go to rehab.
See, now I'd heard it twice and I didn't even get that myself.
Justin Timberlake wrote this one, produced by Timbaland, and it's one of my favorite songs to perform.